Yes, today
Yeah.
definitely. We the Israelites are moving up the so-called Trans-Jordan. That is the eastern side of the Jordan River, outside of Canaan, actually, outside of the Promised Land. And they've just had a big battle with King Sihon of the Amorites and King Og of Bashan. And they've conquered both of them. And they appear, once in a while in the Psalms and so forth, Sihon and Og. Anyway, chapter 22 continues the story of this movement up the Trans-Jordan. The Israelites set out and camped in the plains of Moab, across the Jordan from Jericho. Now, Balak, son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. Moab was in great dread of the people because they were so numerous. Moab was overcome with fear of the people of Israel. And Moab said to the elders of Midian, "This horde will now lick up all that is around us as an ox licks up the grass of the field." Now, Balak, son of Zippor, was king of Moab at that time. He sent messengers to Balaam, son of Beor, at Pethor, which is on the Euphrates in the land of Ammon, to summon him, saying, "A people has come out of Egypt. They have spread over the face of the earth, and now they have settled next to me. Come now, curse this people for me, since they are stronger than I. Perhaps I shall be able to defeat them and drive them from the land. For I know that whomever you bless is blessed, and whomever you curse is cursed." So the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with the fees for divination in their hand, and they came to Balaam and gave him Balak's message. He said to them, "Stay here tonight, and I will bring back word to you, just as the Lord speaks to me." So the officials of Moab stayed with Balaam. God came to Balaam and said, "Who are these men with you?" Balaam said to God, "King Balak, son of Zippor of Moab, has sent me this message. A people has come out of Egypt and has spread over the face of the earth. Now come, curse them for me. Perhaps I shall be able to fight against them and drive them out." God said to Balaam, "You shall not go with them. You shall not curse the people, for they are blessed." So Balaam rose in the morning and said to the officials of Balak, "Go to your own land, for the Lord has refused to let me go with you." So the officials of Moab rose and went to Balak and said, "Balaam refuses to come with us." Once again, Balak sent officials, more numerous and more distinguished than these. They came to Balaam and said to him, "Thus says Balak, son of Zippor, do not let anything hinder you from coming to me, for I will surely do you great honor. And whatever you say to me, I will do. Come, curse this people for me." But Balaam replied to the servants of Balak, Although Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not go beyond the command of the Lord my God to do less or more. You remain here as the others did, so that I may learn what more the Lord may say to me. That night, God came to Balaam and said to him, if the men have come to summon you, get up and go with them, but do only what I tell you to do. So Balaam got up in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with the officials of Moab. God's anger was kindled because he was going, and the angel of the Lord took his stand in the road as his adversary. Now, he was riding on the donkey, and his two servants were with him. The donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand. So the donkey turned off the road and went into the field. And Balaam struck the donkey to turn it back onto the road. Then the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow path between the vineyards, with a wall on either side. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it scraped against the wall and scraped Balaam's foot against the wall. So he struck it again. Then the angel of the Lord went ahead and stood in a narrow place where there was no way to turn, either to the right or to the left. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it lay down under Balaam, and Balaam's anger was kindled, and he struck the donkey with his staff. Then the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and it said to Balaam, what have I done to you that you have struck me these 3 times? Balaam said to the donkey, because you have made a fool of me. I wish I had a sword in my hand. I would kill you right now. But the donkey said to Balaam, am I not your donkey, which you have ridden all your life to this day? Have I been in the habit of treating you this way? And he said, no. Then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with his drawn sword in his hand. And he bowed down, falling on his face. The angel of the Lord said to him, why have you struck your donkey these 3 times? I have come out as an adversary because your way is perverse before me. The donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If it had not turned away from me, surely just now I would have killed you and let it live. Then Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, I have sinned, for I did not know that you were standing in the road to oppose me. Now, therefore, if it is displeasing to you, I will return home. The angel of the Lord said to Balaam, go with the men, but speak only what I tell you to speak. Balaam went off with the officials of Balak. When Balak heard that Balaam had come, he went out to meet him at Ir Moab on the boundary formed by the Arnon at the farthest point of the boundary. Balak said to Balaam, "Did I not send to summon you? Why did you not come to me? Am I not able to honor you?" Balaam said to Balak, "I have come to you now, but do I have power to say just anything? The word God puts in my mouth, that is what I must say." Then Balaam went with Balak, and they came to Kiriath Huzoth. Balak sacrificed oxen and sheep and sent them to Balaam and to the officials who were with him. On the next day, Balak took Balaam and brought him up to Barmoth Baal. And from there, he could see part of the people of Israel. Then Balaam said to Balak, "Build me 7 altars here and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me." Balak did as Balaam had said, and Balak and Balaam offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Then Balaam said to Balak, "Stay here beside your burnt offerings while I go aside. Perhaps the Lord will come to meet me. Whatever he shows me, I will tell you." And he went to a bare height. Then God met Balaam, and Balaam said to him, "I have arranged the 7 altars and have offered a bull and a ram on each altar." The Lord put a word in Balaam's mouth and said, "Return to Balak, and this is what you must say." So he returned to Balak, who was standing beside his burnt offerings with all the officials of Moab. Then Balak uttered his oracle, saying, "Balak has brought me from Aram, the king of Moab, from the eastern mountains. Come, curse Jacob for me. Come, denounce Israel. How can I curse whom God has not cursed? How can I denounce those whom the Lord has not denounced? For from the top of the crags I see him, from the hills I behold him. Here is a people living alone and not reckoning itself among the nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob or number the dust cloud of Israel? Let me die the death of the upright, and let my end be like his." Then Balak said to Balaam, "What have you done to me? I brought you to curse my enemies, but now you have done nothing but bless them." He answered, "Must I not take care to say what the Lord puts into my mouth?" So Balak said to him, "Come with me to another place from which you may see them, and you shall see only part of them and shall not see them all. Then curse them for me from there." So he took him to the field of Zophim, to the top of Pisgah. He built 7 altars and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Balaam said to Balak, "Stand here beside your burnt offerings while I meet the Lord over there." The Lord met Balaam, put a word into his mouth, and said, "Return to Balak, and this is what you shall say." When he came to him, he was standing beside his burnt offerings with the officials of Moab. Balak said to him, "What has the Lord said?" Then Balaam uttered his oracle, saying, "Rise, Balak, and hear. Listen to me, O son of Zippor. God is not a human being that he should lie, or a mortal that he should change his mind. Has he promised, and will he not do it? Has he spoken, and will he not fulfill it? See, I received a command to bless. He has blessed, and I cannot revoke it. He has not beheld misfortune in Jacob, nor has he seen trouble in Israel. The Lord their God is with them, acclaimed as a king among them. God, who brings them out of Egypt, is like the horns of a wild ox for them. Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob, no divination against Israel. Now it shall be said of Jacob and Israel, see what God has done. Look, a people rising up like a lioness and rousing itself like a lion. It does not lie down until it has eaten the prey and drunk the blood of the slain. Then Balak said to Balaam, do not curse them at all, and do not bless them at all. But Balaam answered Balak, did I not tell you, whatever the Lord says, that is what I must do? So Balak said to Balaam, come now, I will take you to another place. Perhaps it will please God that you may curse them for me from there. So Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, which overlooks the wasteland. Balaam said to Balak, build me 7 altars here and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me. So Balak did as Balaam had said and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Now Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Israel. So he did not go as at other times to look for omens, but set his face toward the wilderness. Balaam looked up and saw Israel camping tribe by tribe. Then the Spirit of God came upon him, and he uttered his oracle, saying, the oracle of Balaam, son of Beor, the oracle of the man whose eye is clear, the oracle of one who hears the words of God, who sees the vision of the Almighty, who falls down, but with the eyes uncovered. How fair are your tents, O Jacob, your encampments, O Israel, like palm groves that stretch far away like gardens beside a river, like aloes that the Lord has planted, like cedar trees beside the waters. Water shall flow from his buckets, and his seed shall have abundant water. His king shall be higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted. God, who brings him out of Egypt, is like the horns of a wild ox for him. He shall devour the nations that are his foes and break their bones. He shall strike with his arrows. He crouched and lay down like a lion, and like a lioness who will rouse him up. Blessed is everyone who blesses you, and cursed is everyone who curses you. Then Balak's anger was kindled against Balaam, and he struck his hands together. Balak said to Balaam, I summoned you to curse my enemies, but instead you have blessed them these 3 times. Now be off with you. Go home. I said, I will reward you richly, but the Lord has denied you any reward. And Balaam said to Balak, did I not tell your messengers whom you sent to me, if Balak should give me his house full of silver and gold, I would not be able to go beyond the word of the Lord, to do either good or bad of my own will. What the Lord says, that is what I will say. So now I am going to my people. Let me advise you what this people would do to your people in days to come. So he uttered his oracle, saying, the oracle of Balaam, son of Beor, the oracle of the man whose eye is clear, the oracle of one who hears the words of God and knows the knowledge of the Most High, who sees the vision of the Almighty, who falls down, but with his eyes uncovered. I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star shall come out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. It shall crush the borderlands of Moab and the territory of all the Shetites. Edom will become a possession, Seir, a possession of its enemies, while Israel does valiantly. One out of Jacob shall rule and destroy the survivors of Ir. Then he looked on Amalek and uttered his oracle, saying, first among the nations was Amalek, but its end is to perish forever. Then he looked on the Kenite and uttered his oracle, saying, enduring is your dwelling place, and your nest is set in the rock, yet Cain is destined for burning. How long shall Asher take you away captive? Again he uttered his oracle, saying, alas, who shall live when God does this? But ships shall come from Kittim, and shall afflict Asher and Eber, and he also shall perish forever. Then Balaam got up and went back to his place, and Balak also went his way. I wonder if someone would like to read chapter 25.
I don't want to read, but I wanted to say what an interesting story. And I love the part about the donkey talking.
I do too. I think it's great. I think it's great. Who would like to read 25? I've had a couple of glasses of wine for dinner. So, okay, Sandy, great. You have a great voice. Chapter 25.
While Israel was staying in Shittim, the men began to indulge in sexual immorality with Moabite women, who invited them to the sacrifices to their gods. The people ate the sacrificial meal and bowed down before those gods. So Israel yoked themselves to the Baal of Peor, and the Lord's anger burned against them. The Lord said to Moses, take all the leaders of these people, kill them and expose them in broad daylight before the Lord, so that the Lord's fierce anger may turn away from Israel. So Moses said to Israel's judges, each of you must put to death those of your people who have yoked themselves to the Baal of Peor. Then an Israelite man brought into the camp a Midianite woman right before the eyes of Moses and the whole assembly of Israel, while they were weeping at the entrance to the tent of meeting. When Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saw this, he left the assembly, took a spear in his hand, and followed the Israelite into the tent. He drove the spear into both of them, right through the Israelite man and into the woman's stomach. Then the plague against the Israelites was stopped, but those who died in the plague numbered 24,000. The Lord said to Moses, Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, has turned my anger away from the Israelites. Since he was as zealous for my honor among them as I am, I did not put an end to them in my zeal. Therefore, tell him I am making my covenant of peace with them. He and his descendants will have a covenant of a lasting priesthood, because he was zealous for the honor of his God and made atonement for the Israelites. The name of the Israelite who was killed with the Midianite woman was Zimri, son of Salu, the leader of the Simeonite family. And the name of the Midianite woman who was put to death was Cosbi, son of Zur, a tribal chief of a Midianite family. The Lord said to Moses, treat the Midianites as enemies and kill them. They treated you as enemies when they deceived you in the Peor incident involving their sister Cosbi, the daughter of a Midianite leader, the woman who was killed when the plague came as a result of that incident. After the plague, the Lord said to Moses,
sorry. We're going to do a little skipping.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay. So we're going to move to chapter 27, verses 1 to 11, Sandy. And we're coming to one of those legal asides that I personally kind of love.
Okay, 1 through
11.
Oh, and you had to give me a name like this. The daughters of Zelophehad, son of Hepher, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, belonged to the clans of Manasseh, son of Joseph. The names of the daughters were Mahia, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. They came forward and stood before Moses. Eleazar the priest, the leaders, and the whole assembly at the entrance to the tent of meeting, and said, Our father died in the wilderness. He was not among Korah's followers who banded together against the Lord, but he died for his own sin and left no sons. Why should our father's name disappear from his clan because he had no son? Give us property among our father's relatives. So Moses brought their case before the Lord, and the Lord said to him, when Zelophehad's daughters are saying is right, you must certainly give them property as an inheritance among their father's relatives, and give their father's inheritance to them. Say to the Israelites, if a man dies and leaves no son, give his inheritance to his daughter. If he has no daughter, give his inheritance to his brothers. If he has no brothers, give his inheritance to his father's brothers. If his father had no brothers, give his inheritance to the nearest relative in his clan, that he may possess it. This is to have the force of law for the Israelites, as the Lord commanded Moses.
I thought this was neat because it gives the right to women to inherit significant property, even if they're not married.
But only if there's no man ahead of them.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you there. Go ahead, Sandy, with the appointment of Joshua. That's verses
12
to 20, verses, I think 12 to 23 of the same chapter.
Then the Lord said to Moses, go up this mountain in the Abarim range and see the land I have given the Israelites. After you have seen it, you too will be gathered to your people, as your brother Aaron was. For when the community rebelled at the waters in the desert of Zin, both of you disobeyed my command to honor me as holy before their eyes. These were the waters of Meribah Kadesh in the desert of Zin. Moses said to the Lord, "May the Lord, the God who gives breath to all living things, appoint someone over this community to go out and come in before them, one who will lead them out and bring them in, so the Lord's people will not be like sheep without a shepherd." So the Lord said to Moses, "Take Joshua, son of Nun, a man in whom is the spirit of leadership, and lay your hand on him. Have him stand before Eleazar the priest and the entire assembly, and commission him in their presence. Give him some of your authority so the whole Israelite community will obey him. He is to stand before Eleazar the priest, who will obtain decisions for him by inquiring of the Urim before the Lord. At his command, he and the entire community of the Israelites will go out, and at his command, they will come in." Moses did as the Lord commanded him. He took Joshua and had him stand before Eleazar the priest and the whole assembly. Then he laid his hands on him and commissioned him as the Lord instructed through Moses. So we go to 28.
We're going to go now to 31 because 28 begins a set of ritual observances, rules of ritual observance. So let's go to 31 verses 1 to 20. Because this continues the narrative portion of Numbers. Are you there, Sandy?
Yep.
Okay.
The Lord said to Moses, "Take vengeance on the Midianites for the Israelites. After that, you will be gathered to your people." So Moses said to the people, "Arm some of your men to go to war against the Midianites so that they may carry out the Lord's vengeance on them. Send into battle 1,000 men from each of the tribes of Israel." So 12,000 men armed for battle, 1,000 from each tribe, were supplied from the clans of Israel. Moses sent them into battle, 1,000 from each tribe, along with Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, who took with him articles from the sanctuary and the trumpets for signaling. They fought against Midian, as the Lord commanded Moses, and killed every man. Among their victims were Evi, Rekern, Zur, Hur, and Reba, the 5 kings of Midian. They also killed Balaam, son of Beor, with the sword. The Israelites captured the Midianite women and children and took all the Midianite herds, flocks, and goods as plunder. They burned all the towns where the Midianites had settled, as well as all their camps. They took all the plunder and spoils, including the people and animals, and brought the captive spoils and plunder to Moses and Eleazar the priest and the Israelite assembly at their camp on the plains of Moab, by the Jordan across from Jericho. Moses, Eleazar the priest, and all the leaders of the community went to meet them outside the camp. Moses was angry with the officers of the army, commanders of 1,000 and commanders of hundreds, who returned from the battle. "Have you allowed all the women to live?" he asked them. They were the ones who followed Balaam's advice and enticed the Israelites to be unfaithful to the Lord in the Peor incident, so that a plague struck the Lord's people. Now kill all the boys and kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save for yourselves every girl who has never slept with a man. Anyone who has killed someone or touched someone who was killed must stay outside the camp 7 days. On the 3rd and 7th days, you must purify yourselves and your captives. Purify every garment as well as everything made of leather, goat hair, or wood. Then Eleazar the priest said to the soldiers who had gone into battle, "This is what is required by the law that the Lord gave Moses: gold, silver, bronze, iron, tin, lead, and anything else that can withstand fire must be put through the fire, and then it will be clean. But it must also be purified with the water of cleansing. And whatever cannot withstand fire must be put through that water. On the seventh day, wash your clothes, and you will be clean. Then you may come into the camp.
That's great, Sandy. I put this part in because it refers back to the part where the men came back and had sex with the women of Midian. And then Phineas came out, and remember, he drove a spear through two people. And it was part of, indirectly, in what Sandy just read, it's revealed that this, although Balaam could not curse the Israelites, it was his plan that they should mix with the people of the land and then not be Israelites anymore. But God wasn't going to have anything to do with this. Hence, all of the Midianites had to be killed, even the women who had slept with Israelite men. Anyway, that's the real completion of the story of Balaam. That's why I put it in. And our last thing that I picked after all of this ritual material is in chapter 36, which is another legal aside having to do with women who inherit property. Did you want to do that? Chapter 36,
Sure.
Sandy? Sure.
Is it the whole chapter?
I have it down as the whole chapter.
Okay, great. The family heads of the clan of Gilead, son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, who were from the clans of the descendants of Joseph, came and spoke before Moses and the leaders, the heads of the Israelite families. They said, "When the Lord commanded my Lord to give the land as an inheritance to the Israelites by lot, he ordered you to give the inheritance of our brother Zelophehad to his daughters. Now suppose they marry men from other Israelite tribes. Then their inheritance will be taken from our ancestral inheritance and added to that of the tribe they marry into. And so part of the inheritance allotted to us will be taken away. When the year of Jubilee for the Israelites comes, their inheritance will be added to that of the tribe into which they marry, and their property will be taken from the tribal inheritance of our ancestors." Then the Lord's command, Moses gave this order to the Israelites. What the tribe of the descendants of Joseph is saying is right. This is what the Lord commands of Zelophehad's daughters. They may marry anyone they please as long as they marry within their father's tribal clan. No inheritance in Israel is to pass from one tribe to another, for every Israelite shall keep the tribal inheritance of their ancestors. Every daughter who inherits land in any Israelite tribe must marry someone in her father's tribal clan, so that every Israelite will possess the inheritance of their ancestors. No inheritance may pass from one tribe to another, for each Israelite tribe is to keep the land it inherits. So Zelophehad's daughters did as the Lord commanded Moses. Zelophehad's daughters, Mahlah, Tirzah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Noah, married their cousins on their father's side. They married within the clans of the descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph, and their inheritance remained in their father's tribe and clan. These are the commands and regulations the Lord gave through Moses to the Israelites on the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho.
And that's the end of the book of Numbers, everybody. I hope we did a good thread through the book of Numbers. It was mainly a narrative thread with a couple of legal asides because I love legal stuff, given my background.
This
But
last little bit, I couldn't help but think about inbreeding.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
there's that. And and then I was thinking, it's also pretty hard to find a husband from another clan because you got to walk everywhere in those days. I was just thinking of that, but they didn't have that choice anyway, Beth, right? Yeah, yeah. Anyway, well, they got their property.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of the book of Numbers, and here we are on the banks of the Jordan, essentially. And the people are really ready to cross over the Jordan.
So is this when
To
the
the
Battle of
promised
Jericho
land.
comes up?
What'd you say, Becky?
When do we get to the Joshua fit the Battle of Jericho?
Well, that'll be in the book of Joshua. That's a whole
Oh.
other
Oh, it's
book.
verses.
I haven't even thought about that one yet. But
That's another great story.
but one of the things about the book of Numbers towards the end, and we read it today, is God does take Moses up to a mountain to show him the land that the people are going to go into. And he does tell him, you better anoint or confirm Joshua as the leader of the people, because really your time is up, Moses. And and it's been a long trip for Moses. And the last book of these 5 first books is Deuteronomy, which is I think, as I recall, a very long 34 chapter speech by Moses to the Israelites as a kind of farewell. I'm going to have to figure out the chunks of this one, guys, while I'm in Utah.
Okay.
Which
Are
is
you going to Moab?
no, we're going to no, we're not going. That would be too much, really. We're not going near Moab. Although that would be pretty cool, Sandy, wouldn't it? But it's perfect country for thinking about Deuteronomy. At least I hope so. And I'll come back with Deuteronomy chunks, and then we can say to ourselves, whoa, we kind of read the first 5 books of the Bible. You know it, the Pentateuch, the Torah. And that's pretty, I think that's cool, everybody, that our Bible group has done that. You know what? Yeah.
So you're going to be gone for 3 weeks. Is that what you said?
I'm coming back on around the 20th.